They both factor into 5.
5 comes out. You are correct. Is there anything else that you see in both of them besides a 5? Did you notice that they both had an x in them? So 5x. And then what is left?
3x plus 1x.
3x
No,
plus
1.
just 1. That's it. And if they had asked for the solutions to that one, they didn't. But if they did, it would have been two things. It would have been 0 for this part. Why? Because 5 times 0 makes 0. And 0 times anything makes 0. 0 works. X equals 0. And the other answer? X equals negative 1/3. Because if I put that here, in where the x was, it would make it equal 0. So I know I didn't ask you for that, but that's how you would have done that if I had. On this black one, I did ask you to factor it and solve it. So I hope this was easy. X and plus 3 and minus 2. Did I get there right? No, that doesn't make a total of 6. The outside and the inside don't work. That's how you check. Now I'm going to check a different combo. 6 and 1 maybe. What if I do plus 6 and minus 1? Well, then I get negative 1 and positive 6x makes positive 5x, the exact opposite of what I wanted. Whenever you get the opposite of what you wanted, you know the signs are opposite. So that plus should be a minus, and that minus should be a plus. Now I've got it, and the solve part is that x equals 6 and x equals negative 1. How many of you had that perfectly right? Okay, good. And last but not least, this kind. 2 sets of parentheses. 5x and 5x. And plus and minus. And 4 and 4. Okay. Now let me show you a few answers that are wrong, but the kid just hasn't figured it out yet. Imagine you had this one, and you got it all factored down, and it was a hard one, and it was 5x minus 3, and it was x plus 2, and you're pretty confident you have it right, and then you write the two answers. X equals negative 2, and x equals positive 3. Where did I screw up?
X equals 3.
Everybody solve and get the right answer for that. If you did solve it down this far, what would the right answer have been? Kai, tell me what to do. Not just the answer, but what to do.
You do 5x minus 3 equals 0, and then minus 3, and then divide by 5, or plus 3.
I think it's 3/5.
Yeah.
Who had 3/5 before I even said it? Okay, good. All right, here's another really classic mistake. Kid factors it down and they get this. 5x minus 15 and x plus 7. You might be like, well, either it works or it doesn't. Nope, I know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. Because if the goal is to factor it, they did not factor it all the way. Can you see what could have been factored further? Kiernan.
You can take 5 out of 5x minus 15.
You see how there's a 5 in both of them? That can't be right then. The 5 has to get factored out, and you'd have x minus 3, and then you have your x plus 7. If you can factor one part further, you're not done. Okay, so kid gets factored down, and they get it to 2x minus 2 and x plus 6. It might be right, but it's not right yet. It's right maybe so far. Yes? Everybody finish this one and see what you really should have. Okay, headphones out, and you haven't been writing for a while, so I know you're not really with me. Try that one. Just this problem. Put the phone away too. All right. So, did you get the 2 factored out? and then have x minus 1, and then the x plus 6 comes down. You can't leave it like that. I know there's going to be some kid who's going to argue, but it's factored. Yeah, it's kind of like reducing, but not reducing all the way. Like, let's say you had 8 over 16, and the kid says, well, I factored it. It's down to 4 over 8. And I'd say, yeah, you reduced it, but it's not reduced all the way. It should be 1 over 2. Okay, so when you factor something and you get it like this, you factored it part way, but you got to factor it all the way. All right. Next thing I want to try factoring is one of the more complicated ones. 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. That has something buried in the parentheses. It's not just like x plus 2 and x minus 5. I always think of this as a 3-step process. First, before you even start the 3-step process, you got to see if there's a GCF. Was there any GCF that was in all 3 parts? No. So then it's got to be 2x and x. That's the first part. Naismith, what's the second part? I said it wrong. I meant you. Go ahead. Nice try.
And you put the plus sign in both.
Plus and plus?
Yep.
How did you know it was plus and plus?
Because both of the last 2 numbers are both on.
Yeah, there's only pluses in the problem. It's got to be plus plus. Okay, and then in these 2 parts, that and that have to multiply to 1. So obviously it has to be 1 and 1. The outside and the inside is what you check. And did that actually make 3x? It did, so then that's the answer. Except on the harder problems, we make you give the final solutions. So we act like it equals 0, and then we ask, what are the solutions then? Go ahead and give that one a try.
Negative half.
I started the video here with the kid saying the answers for this, so this is -1. Would you just tell me how to do this instead of trying to do it in your head? How do you do it?
Well, the 2x plus 1 equals 0, and then we subtract the 1 on both sides, and then divide the 2 on both sides.
X equals -1/2. Okay, there's your 2 answers. -1 and -1/2. All right, now we have to step it up a notch. But to do this, I want to make sure you're good at this. If you can't multiply these out fast, then you're going to struggle on this test. Everybody multiply that out. Because we're checking to see if this was the factored answer. Okay. Let's set the dice of destiny. Choose. It's going to be row 5. Kai, that's you. What'd you get when you multiplied it up?
2x squared plus just the equation.
You can, I know it's 8x and -3x, but what does that make together?
5x minus 12.
2x squared plus 5x minus 12. Awesome. You multiplied it all the way out. So do you get if that had been the problem, then the blue one would have been the factored answer. All right. So here's a factoring problem that's on the hard level. I need an x squared there. 4x squared minus 22x minus 42. Now this is one of those moments where I know that when you started this unit, you wouldn't have been able to do this. But now I think you can. You are correct. We take out a 2 first. You don't try to do all the other stuff. Just take out the 2. Hazel, what'd you get after you took out the 2?
I got 2x squared minus 11x minus 21.
You are correct. Nystrom. How do I start this last thing?
Make sure you have a parentheses.
So, what are the first numbers in each parenthesis?
The first one is 2x, the second one
2x and x. Good. That's the first part, is to make this. Then, now you decide. Plus, minus, minus, minus. I think you decide the signs before you pick the numbers. So, what do you think?
Plus minus.
How do you know for sure? It had to be 1 plus and 1 minus. That's the only way.
How do I know?
Yeah.
Because it will create two negatives, which is what you need.
Okay. The main thing is that that number has to be negative, which means one has to be positive and one has to be negative. You can't use two negatives. It wouldn't give you a negative 21. And you can't use two positives or you wouldn't have a negative 21. Okay, so it's got to be a plus and a minus. And the last thing is a 21. And it's likely to be a 7 and a 3. Noah, what do you think?
About?
What these two numbers should be?
Sure.
Okay, they multiply to 21. Okay, I'll come back to you on a different one. Let's go with Truckee. What do you think the 21 should break up into? Okay, what makes it 21? Can you think that through? Like what times what?
7 and 3 and 5.
Okay. All right, Noah, you're right. So 7 and 3. I'm gonna go back to this. Do I put the 7 and 3 here though? How do I tell? I'm checking. That does not make negative 22x. That is for sure not it.
Does it not factor?
All right. Well, it's possible. We got to try all the combos. 7 and 3 does make 21. What if I put the 7 here and the 3 here? Could that work?
That's 7 and 3 don't add to 11.
No, you're using that old trick you learned in the middle school and is wrong. They don't add up to this. This and this are supposed to add up to this. What's the 7 and the 2 make?
14,
And it's negative, so
negative 14.
negative 14 and positive 3 does make negative 11x. There it is. All right, and then the final answer, x equals 7 and x equals negative 3, and I cry a little bit and have to mark it wrong because the kid just thinks it's the opposite of whatever's in there and they're wrong. It's 2x plus 3 equals 0, so 2x equals negative 3, so x equals negative 3 over 2. There's the final answer. Okay, here's another tough one. Just trying to get ready for the test. 25x squared minus 100. Factor. All right, so there's two kinds of kids right now. The one kind of kid who did it this way and went, oh, I like these. This is easy. 5x and 5x and plus and minus 10. Sweet. And they're done and they're wrong. Or there's this kind of kid who does this. 25 goes into both of these. I'm going to factor it out first. Which one's smarter? Well, obviously, the way I said it, it must be smarter to factor out the 25. Why? Because then your numbers become super small. X squared minus 4. And now anybody can factor that. And I know some of you are thinking, but I got it a different way. No, you didn't. If you didn't get this final answer, just a second here. Then you don't have it unless you got it all the way down to that. See, I think some people think, well, this way works. I multiply it out and I get the right answer. It's because there's still a 5 in this one and there's still a 5 in that one. You get how the 5 has to factor out and you get x plus 2?
What was the final answer?
And the 5 has to factor out and I get an x plus, or x minus 2? Hold on, I'm almost done. I'm almost going to get to the final answer right here. I'm just factoring a 5 out of both of these. And then the two 5s make a 25. X minus 2 and x plus 2. That's your final answer. You cannot leave it like this. A lot of kids are gonna, and then they're gonna lose a bunch of points because it's factored but not factored all the way. Would have been smart to notice there was a 25 in both of them right off the bat. Okay, now try this one. 3x squared minus 27. Factor. Pausing while you try that. Nice. Take a 3 out. What do you get?
3 times the x is minus 1.
Nice. Did you notice it factors again? Maybe you didn't. X and x. And then since that's a perfect square, take your best guess at it. Done already?
Well, I didn't know urgently you needed them, so I just
Thank
printed
you
a.
very much. I will need them tomorrow morning, but thank you. You're ahead of the game. Okay, so plus 3 and minus 3. Who figured it out? Raise your hand if you did. Awesome. Okay, and here's one more tough one. And then the rest of today is going to be, you guys get to ask me questions of any on the worksheet that you're struggling with. All right. Actually, okay, second to last question. I really believe strongly that the key to this test is noticing when you haven't factored all the way. Would you please figure out what's wrong with this answer? Did you catch that right here, they should have factored a 2 out? Who had caught that? Raise your hand if you caught that. Okay, good. Then, last one. Promise. 9x squared minus 21x minus 60. It's about as tough as they get. If they ask you to solve, that'll mean you got to factor it and then solve it. Okay? Good luck. All right. Here's who's calling. I'm calling on this time. Row 1. Person 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lydia, that's you. What did you notice was in all 3 of them at the very beginning? Like here, here, and here. Excellent. 3 comes out. What do they turn into? Okay. As long as you factored it all the way, that's fine. I'll call on somebody else who did factor out the 3, because that's what you were supposed to do. Yes.
So I factored out, we got 3x squared minus 7x minus 20.
Now, you were mentioning you did it another way. The danger of any other way is that you might not forget, or you might not remember to factor one of your factors. If we do it this way, we don't have to factor anything like one last time. If I can just finish this, I will have it. So I have 3x and x. Let's see. Let's call on somebody else. Row 5. Kai, that's always you. That's kind of cruel, but you can do it. Plus and a minus, minus and a minus, just one step at a time. Remember, you want this right here, that number here, to come up when you multiply. So it's negative, so to get a negative, you'll have to have a plus and a minus.
Plus 2 minus 10.
Now, how do I know if you're right? I check. That's negative 30. That's positive 2. Negative 30 and positive 2, they don't work because they don't give me 7. So I know it isn't 2 and 10. Or is it, but it's reversed? That's the next thing I check. Here's a 10. Here's a 2. And now, does it make negative 7x? Nope, it makes 5x. So it's definitely not 10 and 2. I tried. I don't even have to worry about the negatives because I never got the opposite of what I wanted. So if the signs were the issue, I would have just switched the signs, but I never got the opposite of what I wanted. So it's not 10 and 2. What is it? Who got it? Raise your hand if you got it. Only 2 people? All right, of the people that are raising their hand, who haven't I heard from yet? Guess I haven't heard, well, I did call on you once, but Caroline, I'd never actually got you to volunteer. So what do you think?
I'm at 5 and 4.
All right. But is it +5 and -4 or the other way around? She is right. That is it. Now, Lydia, remember how you said you did it a different way? Can you tell me that way right off the bat? And then it's not that it's wrong, it's just that you have to make sure you finish it right. So what did you do?
So I did 3x plus 4 and then 3x minus 15. And then
Wait a second. And then, see, this is the thing. Kids will get an answer like this and think they're done, but you went further. What did you do?
I absolutely sacrificed these and still divide by 3.
So then, this and this both have a 3. It comes out x minus what? All right. And now, if I put that 3 to the front, uh-oh. You were close, but this isn't going to work. You know how I know? I'm going to multiply it out quick. And I'm going to move this 3x plus 4 to the end. This was the beginning of your answer right there. If I multiply that out quick in the middle, it's so close. But that does not give you a total of negative, the grand total here isn't right. So you were close. You thought you had it. Bottom line, if I were you, I would have factored out this 3 here. And I know the answer is supposed to be 3x plus 5. And you had 3x plus 4. So you had your 5 and your 4 reversed. So you were close. Try to, anytime the numbers are big, factor out the GCF first. It's really, really smart. You'll make less mistakes. Okay, so there's a thing called factor ladder. And there's 2 different things. I decided to assign the thing called the factor maze. That one, as like, you've solved the first problem, and then it's got an answer and it's got a certain color. That tells you which factoring problem you have to do next. So the cool part is you don't have to do all of them in the factor maze. You just find where the answer is on the first one, and let's say it's in a yellow box. Then that tells you go to the yellow box next for your next problem. Okay? So it's, in the end, if you can't figure that out, just factor all of them and it'll be fine. But it's supposed to make it like more fun to be able to predict, oh, so this one's the one I should do next. All right, so the factor maze is your assignment for tonight. The test is tomorrow. And if you have individual questions, this would be such a smart time to use me for like some last minute help right before the test tomorrow.